In the city of shattered screens and silenced notifications, where love dies with a swipe and betrayal hides in the unread messages, one man's heart was left echoing in the void. But voids don't stay empty, they swallow everything. And I became the shadow that wouldn't let her sleep. She vanished like smoke. I rose like the devil she summoned. It started with a spark, the kind that ignites wildfires in the dead of a rainy Tuesday. Her name was Elena Voss, sharp as a switchblade's smile, with eyes like fractured emeralds that could cut you open and make you thank her for the bleed. We met at a rooftop bar in downtown Seattle, the kind of place where the skyline pretends to care about your dreams. I was Alex Harrow, 28, a mid-level software engineer grinding away at code that fixed other people's messes, while my own life glitched out in silence. She was a freelance graphic designer, 26, all tattoos and untamed curls, the type who quoted Nietzsche over cheap whiskey and laughed like she owned the storm clouds rolling in off the sound. That night, we talked until the bar lights flickered out. She traced patterns on my palm with her fingertip, whispering about parallel universes where people like us didn't end up alone. By dawn, we were tangled in my sheets, her breath hot against my neck, promising we'd rewrite the stars. For 3 months, it was electric. Late-night drives to hidden beaches, her head on my shoulder as we blasted indie rock anthems. Picnics in the park where she'd sketch me mid-laugh, calling me her beautiful glitch. Texts at 3 a.m., miss your chaos already. Heart emojis that felt like lifelines. I fell hard, the way you do when someone makes the world feel less like a grindstone and more like a canvas. I cooked her breakfasts that burned the edges but tasted like home. Introduced her to my ragtag friends at trivia nights, where she'd dazzle them with stories of her wild artist past, growing up in a trailer park outside Portland, clawing her way to city lights with nothing but grit and a stolen sketchpad. She met my mom over Zoom, charming her with tales of vegan recipes that could cure a broken soul. I even started dreaming in her colors, vibrant splashes against the grayscale of my routine. But love's a fragile algorithm, and hers had a backdoor I never saw coming. It was mid-October, leaves turning Trader Gold outside my apartment window. We'd planned a weekend getaway to the Olympics, cabins, stargazing, the works. I texted her Thursday morning, can't wait to get lost with you. Crickets. By evening, still nothing. I called voicemail, her voice a ghost already, lilting and distant. Friday came with radio silence. Saturday, I drove to her loft in Capitol Hill anyway, heart hammering like bad code. The door was ajar, just enough to peek in. Empty wine bottles on the counter, her easel bare, a single post-it on the fridge that read asterisk out of milk, back soon. But she wasn't back soon. She was gone, ghosted. Not a fight, not a fade, just evaporated. No explanation, no closure. My messages piled up like digital debris. Hey, everything okay? Miss you. Call me, Elena please. Unread, unseen. I stalked her Instagram, stories of coffee runs and city sunsets, but no tags, no traces of me. Our shared Spotify playlist, archived in her history, but mine alone now, mocking me with half-remembered lyrics. Friends said, give her space, man, people change. But space, that's what she gave me, an infinite, aching void that swallowed my sleep, my appetite, my sanity. At first, it was grief, raw and ragged. I'd scroll through our photos until my eyes burned, replaying every laugh, every touch. Work blurred into errors. I'd stare at my monitor, typing lines that looped nowhere. Nights were worse, lying in the dark, phone clutched like a talisman, willing it to buzz. But as the weeks bled into November, grief curdled, into anger, into something sharper, hungrier. Why? The question gnawed at me like a virus in the system. Was it my fault? Too needy, too ordinary? I dug subtle at first. Mutual friends dodged my probes. She's just dealing with stuff. Like I was stuff now, disposable code. That's when the hacker in me woke up. I'd always been good with systems, cracking firewalls for fun in college, building apps that predicted user behavior down to the keystroke. Elena knew that. She'd tease me about it, calling me her digital wizard. Now, that wizardry turned dark. Late one night, fueled by cheap bourbon and bitterness, I fired up my terminal. A little social engineering, fished a mutual acquaintance's login, traced her IP through a forgotten shared Google Doc. Boom, her new email buried under aliases. From there, it unraveled like cheap thread. She'd met someone. Him, a venture capitalist named Marcus Hale, 32, all slick suits and startup swagger. His profile screamed privilege, Yale grad, yacht weekends, post from Coachella with models draped like accessories. They'd connected at a design conference in October. The weekend she vanished on me. Texts I scraped from a synced cloud backup painted it lurid. Your trouble, she'd written him. The good kind, dates at speakeasies, trips to Napa. She hadn't ghosted me, she'd upgraded. I was the beta test, the rough draft she crumpled when the final version arrived. Rage hit like a DDoS attack, flooding, overwhelming. But I didn't smash my phone or drunk dial her. No, I channeled it into precision, into becoming the glitch she couldn't debug. Step 1, the subtle sabotage. I started small, invisible. Her freelance gigs. I posed as a disgruntled client on review sites, seeding doubts about her reliability. Missed deadlines, poor communication. Nothing traceable, just enough to make prospects hesitate. Her Instagram, I scripted bots to unlike her posts en masse, watch counts dipping like her confidence. And her precious art. Oh, I mirrored her portfolio site, injected malware that corrupted uploads midstream. Pixels bleeding into chaos, clients emailing in panic. What happened to your files? She posted about it once, a vague story, tech gremlins today. Universe chill, I laughed in the dark, alone with my screens, but I wanted more. I wanted her to feel the void, so I escalated, tracked her routines via geotags and public cams, coffee at 8 a.m. on Pike Place, yoga at 6 p.m. in Belltown. Parcels started arriving, anonymous deliveries to her loft. First, a bouquet of black roses, thorns intact, card reading from the shadows you left behind. She blocked the florist, but I switched vendors. Then a custom sketchpad, filled with drawings of us, ripped and taped back wrong, her face scratched out in red ink. Remember me? Marcus noticed, of course. His feeds lit up with concern. Rough week for my girl, but cracks showed. Fewer couple pics, more solo shots of her looking haunted, shadows under those emerald eyes. I hacked her smart home next. Simple IoT exploit, turning her lights to strobe at midnight, thermostat to Arctic blasts. She'd tweet in frustration. Why is my life a horror movie? Friends rallied, but I seeded rumors in group chats. Heard Alina's burning bridges. Drama queen vibes. Isolation crept in, a slow poison. By December, she was fraying. I saw it live, hijacked her ring cam feed one snowy evening. Curled on her couch, wine glass trembling, scrolling old messages. Alex, where are you? No, wait, that was me from months ago. She paused on one of mine, thumb hovering like she might reply, but she didn't. Instead, she called Marcus, voice cracking. I think someone's watching me. His response, muffled, dismissive. Babe, it's stress. The deal's closing soon, we'll get away. Ah, the upgrade was glitching too. Money couldn't buy peace from phantoms. That's when I decided on the crescendo. Christmas Eve, the city draped in festive deceit, lights twinkling like false promises. I'd been watching her all day, a ghost in the holiday throng. Her story that morning, solo market run, Marcus bylaid work calls. Alone, then, vulnerable. I slipped into the crowd hours earlier, blending with the scarves and mittens, my breath steady under a wool beanie pulled low. The market hummed with oblivious cheer, cinnamon-scented air thick as fog, carolers' voices fracturing against the chill. She arrived at dusk, red coat a slash of color against the gray slush, arms soon heavy with bags of wrapped trinkets. She moved like prey sensing the hunt, glances over her shoulder at nothing, steps quickening past the Ferris wheel's glow. I shadowed her, keeping 3 stalls distance, close enough to catch the faint vanilla trail of her shampoo on the wind, far enough that my footsteps dissolved in the murmur. She paused at a stall of hand-forged ornaments, fingers lingering on a silver star that caught the string lights like a captured scream. Her lips parted as if whispering a wish to it. For forgiveness, for escape, my pulse thrummed, a low code compiling in the dark. Not yet. Patience was my weapon now, honed sharp over months of digital whispers. She paid, tucked the star away, and veered toward the quieter edge of the market, a narrow side street choked with snowdrifts and shadowed dumpsters, a shortcut to her loft. The crowd thinned here, laughter fading to echoes, the only light a sputtering street lamp that buzzed like a dying insect. Her boots crunched unevenly on the ice, bags rustling, a sound too loud in the sudden hush. She stopped once, mid-stride, head snapping back toward the market's glow. Nothing, just the wind clawing at bare branches. Or was that my exhale, measured and silent from the alcove 20 feet behind? Another step, 10 feet now. Her breath plumed in frantic clouds, visible even in the dim. She fumbled in her pocket, keys, phone. The screen flared briefly as she checked it, thumb swiping shadows from the glass. No notifications, of course not. I jammed the signal in a 2-block radius, a parting gift from my toolkit. She cursed under her breath, a soft fuck, and hurried on, bags swinging like pendulums counting down. 5 feet. The air between us thickened, charged with the scent of pine and panic. I could see the tension in her shoulders, the way her curls escaped her hood in wild defiance. One more turn, and the street dead-ended at her building's back alley, privacy gates locked, no witnesses. She reached for the latch, gloved fingers slipping on the frost-slick metal. That's when I let the first sound escape. Not words, but a deliberate crunch of gravel under my boot, timed to mimic a falling branch. Or a footfall. She whirled, bags thudding to the ground in a scatter of tissue and ribbon. Hello, her voice cracked on the edge of the word, emerald eyes scanning the murk wide, searching, but blind to me in my pocket of shadow. The street lamp flickered, casting her face in strobe, pale then paler. She backed against the gate, breath hitching. Who's there, Marcus? This isn't funny. Silence stretched, taut as wire. I waited, letting the wind fill it, whistling through the alley like a held breath releasing. Her hand dove into her coat pocket again, emerging with the phone, screen dark and useless. She tapped it harder, frustration blooming into fear. Come on, signal, a step sideways toward the main street's distant hum. but I mirrored it, unseen, circling wider into the open. Another crunch, closer, deliberate. Her head jerked toward it, eyes locking on the alley's mouth where snow swirled like smoke signals. I swear to God, if this is you, the threat died, unfinished, as a shadow detached from the wall, not mine, but the lamp's erratic dance playing tricks. She laughed, a brittle shard of sound. Stupid, just the snow, but she didn't move. Froze there, bags forgotten, pulse visible in the frantic flutter at her throat. 3 feet, close enough now to hear the shallow rasp of her breathing, to taste the copper tang of her rising dread on the air. I stepped fully into the weak light, slow, deliberate, letting the snowflakes crown my silhouette like a halo of malice. Unshaven jaw, hollowed eyes, that old crooked smile she'd once kissed blooming slow across my face. Alex, it escaped her in a gasp, barely audible over the wind's low moan. Recognition hit like a slap, eyes widening, hand flying to her mouth as if to trap the scream building there. She pressed back harder against the gate, metal groaning in protest. How? You can't. What the asterisk hell? I didn't answer right away. Just stood there, snow melting into my coat, watching her unravel thread by thread. The silence coiled tighter, broken only by the distant chime of a market bell, joyous, mocking. Finally, my voice slithered out, low and laced with gravel. Miss me, Elena, or were you hoping for someone? Stabler asterisk. Her gaze darted, left, right back to the empty street behind me. No escape. No savior in the flurry. Tears welled, hot tracks carving through the cold on her cheeks. This isn't you. The packages, the hacks, it was you. Alex, please. I can explain, we can. Explain, I echoed, taking one measured step forward. The gap closed to 2 feet, her vanilla scent warred with the alley's rot. She flinched, a small animal sound escaping. Like you explained the silence, the upgrade, no love, tonight's not for words. It's for asterisk feeling asterisk what you left me with. Another step, 1 foot. Close enough to see the tremor in her lips, the way her fingers clawed at the gate like it might yield secrets. She lunged then, not at me but past, a desperate scramble for the dropped phone half buried in slush. I was faster, boot pinning it with a wet crunch that echoed like a verdict. No calls, I murmured, voice silk over steel. Just us, like the old days. Remember the beach, the sketches? Or did Marcus's Napa views erase all that? Sobs broke free now, raw and ragged, her body sliding down the gate until she knelt in the snow, defeated, bags spilling their festive guts around her like a gutted dream. I'm sorry, she whispered over and over, a mantra against the nightmare solidifying before her. So sorry, let me go, please Alex, you're scaring me. Good, the word hung, final as frostbite. I crouched then eye level, close enough that our breaths mingled in the chill, mine steady, hers shattered. You made me a ghost, Elena, taught me how to haunt. And now, my hand hovered near her cheek, not touching, but the promise of it made her recoil. Now you live with it. Every flicker in the dark, every unread echo, it's me. Your glitch, your end. I rose slow, leaving her there curled, weeping, the snow burying her in white anonymity. No touch, no violence, just the seed of terror, planted deep to bloom in her dreams. As I melted back into the night, her broken plea chased me. Alex, don't, but I did. And in that void she feared, I finally found my peace. She didn't call the cops that night, too tangled in shame, too afraid of the unraveling. But by New Year's, the stories leaked. Elena Voss, rising star, cracking under mysterious harassment. Marcus bolted, citing toxicity, her gigs dried up. The city that once adored her now whispered. She moved Portland back to roots, but I knew. A final gift arrived. A USB drive, labeled our playlist remixed. Tracks warped with static whispers of my voice. Why? She blocked everywhere, vanished fully this time. But in the quiet of my apartment, screens aglow, I watched the echoes. I became her nightmare, yes, but in the process, I exorcised mine. Love's a glitch, after all, fix it, or let it burn the whole system down. And if she ever wonders, in some parallel universe where regrets are stars, I hope she remembers, some shadows don't fade, they evolve, they wait.